What's up, everybody? Let's move on with our building of this Rothko painting right here. So far we've looked at steps 1 all the way to 20. Let's continue in this one from step 21 to step 30. Okay, so now that 1 is centered horizontally, but its top margin is pushing past the canvas and onto the frame's border, shifting the entire canvas down 20 pixels. All right, so as you can see, we have our yellow box, or our box 1, touching the top of this brown canvas here. So do we want to deal with it? As you can see in our final page, there is a bit of space here. So do we want to deal with this is to use the padding. Okay, so we want to give it a padding of 1 pixels, just 1 pixels. Okay, and that nicely shifts it from all edges and it's more even clearly from the top. All right, next up, we also want to add 1 pixel of padding to the top, bottom, left and right of the canvas, and change. All right, so adding 1 pixels of padding to the top, bottom, left and right of the canvas changes its dimension to 502 pixels and 602 pixels. Replace the padding property with overflow set to hidden, and this will change the canvas to its original dimensions. Okay, so once we replace this padding property, and we want to do that, is say overflow, we want to set it to hidden. Okay. All right, now as you can see, when we remove the padding, this one goes back to touching the top of the canvas. But once we add this overflow hidden, what happens is that we still have the space. Okay, so we'll explain that later on as we continue. All right, so we want to add another div with a class value of 2 just below the 1 div. Okay, so we want to create our second box, and first let's add a div, and this div is going to have a class of 2. Okay, next up, create a new CSS rule using the 2 selector. So we target the 2 like so, and we are going to say width, let's give it a width of 475 pixels. And then let's also set the height for 2. We want to set the height of that element to 200 pixels like so. Now let's work on the background color. Okay, after adding the background color, we should see our box show up on the screen. Okay, so like I said, we have our box here on the screen, which is our second box, and the default styling applied to it is that it is shifted to the left, but we are going to deal with that. So once set margin to auto. Okay, now we are back in the middle, and then we also want to create a new div. We'll say div, and we'll give this div a class of 3, and this div is going to what we are going to use for our third box. Okay, all right, next up, we don't always have to use pixels. Of course, there are other units of measurement in CSS, so pixels is not the only thing. We can use percentages, we can use rem units, and there are others. So want to create a new rule for box 3, and we set it with, this time around we use percentages, so let's set it with to 91%. 91. Okay, so what this means is that it's going to take 91% of its parent element. Okay, so assuming I set it to 50%, see what happens. Oh, nothing happened because there's no background. So just to show you, let me give you let's say, let me give you some height, and I give it a background color just to demonstrate. Okay, and I'll say blue. Okay, as you can see, now it's taking only 90%, 50%, sorry, but assuming I give it a 90%, then as you can see, it takes 90% of the width of its parent, right? Okay, so let me clean it up and set this back to 91% instead. All right, finally, in this video, we are going to set the height of 3. We're going to set it to 28%. Okay, and then we'll end this right here. So let's continue in the next video where we are going to look at steps 31 to 40. All right, so see you in the next one.